You sure? All right. Speaker, please.
Okay, my name is Von Beck, and I'm for the amicus brief in support of USA and the city of Westminster, city of Los Alamitos, and rules. There's a law resolution. When sanctuary cities officials refuse to honor ICE detained requests, they are putting public and law enforcement officers at risk. ICE cannot arrest illegal or criminal aliens in controlled environment of the police stations or jails. It must perform its lawful immigration enforcement duty in workplaces, in residences, or in streets. Even worse, when sanctuary city officials, like example, Oakland mayor, warns illegal aliens about possible upcoming immigration enforcement activities. They allow criminals to befair themselves, endangering innocent bystanders, and putting law enforcement in greater risk. Come join the fight against Jerry Lee Brown, or Jerry Moon Brown, Attorney General Becerra, Senator Kevin D. Long, and these three despicable cartoon carriers in the swamp in Sacramento. We're against SB 54. By the way, the USA National Guard will soon be down at the borders if this illegal alien trespasses over the USA, our sovereign borders. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Robin Dixon, and I am here in strong support of signing on to the amicus brief. SB 54 puts our communities and our families in danger because it protects criminal aliens. It should be called the Criminal Alien Protection Act. So we thank the body politic for taking this issue on and would encourage you to vote on the side of public safety. Our supervisor Spitzer said the reason he is in support of the amicus brief is because he wants to protect law enforcement. It's much less dangerous for our officers to communicate when criminal alien is in custody, rather than having to go into the community, into gang areas. He said pulling over a vehicle is extremely dangerous. So thank you for taking this issue on. Again, it's an issue of public safety and keeping our families safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor Harrington and City Council members. Thank you for your time. You basically have the words there for me. Thank you. I am here in support of the amicus brief, in support of the United States of America and City of Los Alamitos rule of law resolution. I believe, and I know that SB 54 is illegal, it's wrong for the state, and it's for issues of national security as well as just safety for the people of our state. So I'm asking that you please support the amicus brief, and thank you again for your time. Thank you.
Could you just hold on a second? Could you just repeat your name for me, please?
Lori Masonis.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Megan Dowling, and I have come here to be in favor of the amicus brief in support of the United States of America and the City of Los Alamitos and the rule of law resolution. I've also been a victim of illegal immigrant crime on a number of occasions, and I'm against the nullification of federal immigration law. I believe that that's in the purview of the feds. It's in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. I believe SB 54 is in violation of that. And according to the FBI, 67,642 murders were committed in the U.S. from 2005 to 2008, and 115,717 from 2003 through 2009. The General Accounting Office documents that criminal and illegal aliens committed 25,064 of these murders. To extrapolate out these statistics, this means that a population of just over 3.5% residing in the U.S. unlawfully committed 22% to 37% of all murders in the nation. In California alone, over 2,400 illegal immigrants out of a total prison population of 130,000 are imprisoned in the state's prison system for the crime of homicide. The pro-illegal immigrant lobby consistently misrepresents the criminal involvement of illegal immigrants as compared to the immigrants who legally enter the U.S. and American citizens, saying that illegal immigrants commit less crime than their counterparts. This assertion is patently false in most cases. In California, there are just over 92 illegal immigrants in prison for every 100,000 illegals, as compared to 74 citizens and legal non-citizen immigrants. In Arizona, the rate is nearly 69 illegals in prison for every 100,000, as compared to 54 citizens and non-legal citizen immigrants. Hardly any Californians know that in 2014, Governor Brown signed a bill that amended a state statute amending the maximum sentencing. Is that my time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Lenore Perez. I'm an immigrant, and I came here to Scotland legally, and now I'm an American citizen. And about 4 years ago, my grandson was murdered by illegal aliens. They couldn't find the people, but there were witnesses saying that they saw 4 Latinos in the area where he was dumped over the bridge in Bigness in First Street in downtown Los Angeles. He was ready to go to USC as a student. I follow her sister now. She's a social service person in a school district in Long Beach. And I oppose sanctuary cities because they harbor criminals. They never found the people that killed my grandson. And every time I talk about this, it made me cry. I want to know who did this to my grandson.
Right.
And that's why I oppose the sanctuary cities.
Alamitos and participating in the United States versus state of California to be money well spent. Public safety should always be the top priority. One of my problems with SB 54 is that it hampers communication and cooperation between local and federal law enforcement. I grew up in New York City and watched my city get attacked on September 11th. One thing that we learned in the aftermath of 9/11 was that various government agencies had not been set up to communicate with each other, and that proved to be a big mistake. Any legislation that restricts sharing of information or cooperation between local and federal law enforcement is a big step backwards for our national security. I've met many people like Lenore in Southern California who were victims of crimes committed by illegal aliens, and it is unfair that any American should be preyed upon by those who never had the right to enter our country in the first place. I'm appalled that our state legislature wants to protect people who not only broke laws once by entering the United States illegally, but then went on to commit further crimes. Where is the protection for the rest of us? My opposition will probably try to tell you that I'm against immigration. I am married to an immigrant. My husband, who couldn't be here tonight because he's working, arrived in America on a work visa, then obtained his green card and later citizenship. He went through the process with all the forms to fill out, fees to pay, waiting periods, interviews, and providing documentation from his country of origin. It's unfair for those who went through this process legally to excuse those who didn't. I'm very proud of this document. It's my great-grandfather's immigration papers from 1920. He was a poor man from Hungary who wanted a better life. And is my time up? Thank you.
Thank you.
And I am in support of Aliso Viejo setting the amicus brief in support of the United States of America. I know a lot of people here think, well, you know, Aliso Viejo is not really having problems with illegal immigration, but I don't believe that we're just concerned about our city. I believe that we are also concerned about the surrounding cities and our state as a whole. So if we do not protect the public safety of our own city, we are also not protecting our neighbors who are also important to us. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Benjamin Garcia. I'm a longtime resident of California, native born, as is my 96-year-old mother. And my combat veteran dad is also legally born in the United States. My mom is from Los Angeles. My father was born in Texas and a combat vet from World War II that fought in the South Pacific. Most of these people that are here talking about not democracy and Democrat this and that, let me enlighten them a little bit to what you gentlemen and staff are supporting, the rule of law and upholding our Constitution. Do you know what it's like? I'm talking to those that are speaking on behalf of their so-called democracy and saying the KKK is Republican. The KKK was formed by Democrats.
Yes.
Now get your history straight, okay? We are a republic, a constitutional republic. If you don't know what it means to strap on a weapon and to fight for this flag, I suggest that you all take an oath of office and fight for it. Then you'll know
Just
what
go ahead
this
and
is
direct your
about.
comments to the council, okay? Ben?
Thank you, yes. Okay, I support your memorandum of what you wrote on the recommendation as the support of the rule of law.
I want to get something out of my
fiscal
car
impact
and then
is
go.
none.
No, you're leaving
You know, none.
Okay.
You're signing on to what's already been laid out. And I think that's really astounding that you would have that foresight to go and look into all this. And Mayor Harrington, people that are jumping on you for aspiring to a higher office, you and I have spoke one-on-one, and we subscribe to the rule of oath before office. And as with Spitzer,
Go ahead and wrap
I've
that up,
known him
man.
also for many years, and I know you both will be fine lawmakers in our county. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor Harrington, City Council members, and residents and visitors to Aliso Viejo. My name is Mindy Foster Swank, and I'm an 18-year resident of Aliso Viejo and a fourth-generation native Texan, which I'm very proud of. I believe that state and local resources should not be used to carry out the work of federal immigration officials in deportation actions. The 10th Amendment precludes federal government from coercing state or local governments to use their resources to enforce a federal regulatory program like immigration. Moreover, multiple federal courts have found detention by local agencies based on ICE detainers to be unconstitutional. The federal government cannot commandeer state and local resources, nor can it require actions in violation of the Constitution. I do not believe that our city attorney should file an amicus brief in support regarding case number 18-264. How much?
Don't worry,
Okay.
I'll take care of it, man.
In closing, I would like to quote the words of Reverend Billy Graham, a great man of faith. I think it is a sin to look at another human person as inferior to yourself because of race or because of ethnic background. And I think the greatest thing to do is pray that God will give you love for them, and I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Denise Velasco. I am here as a person of faith. I have my rosary in my hand. I was raised Roman Catholic. I'm a graduate of Mater Dei High School, then UC Berkeley, then Harvard University. I got my master's in public administration there. I'm very proud to be active in Orange County. Have lived here most of my life since I was 7 years old. And I'm here because at Mater Dei we learned about sanctuary and what that meant. And when Jesus Christ, before he was risen, Easter just passed, he went into sanctuary with the disciples. And I know that the 5 of you up here are people of faith also. And I ask you to really dig deep in your soul to understand what it means to take sanctuary. I know some of you here work in your daily lives to help the impoverished, to protect them. As city council members, you have a responsibility to also protect those that are voiceless, those that are undocumented. I ask you with every shred of my heart and my soul and my community of faith for you to really dig deep and understand when we are talking about sanctuary, we are talking about taking care of those who are most in need. Tonight, you have a responsibility to either vote no or to abstain. Because if you do not do that, what you are saying is that the people who are voiceless, the people that may witness a crime, do you hear that? The people that may witness a crime will not come forward to say that they witnessed the crime. Okay? I have family members that are retired officers, military, veterans, all of it. My niece was a victim of the San Bernardino shooting. You cannot tell me that I do not know what sanctuary is. She deserves sanctuary, and the undocumented immigrants here deserve sanctuary. Be brave, and go with your conscience, not with what's popular.
Thank you.
Like that's supposed to change.
Go ahead and escort her out. I'm not going to have that. Go ahead and escort her out. No, you can leave.
I need my back.
Give her whatever she needs, and then go ahead and escort her out.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's check our cell phones. Make sure all our cell phones are off or down, so that we don't interrupt the speakers, please.
God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you too.
Quiet.
God bless you too, Mayor. God bless you.
Thank you. You're not a priest. Okay, next speaker, please.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor Harrington and the rest of the council members. Thank you so much. We are coming here joyous. We are so excited that we finally get a time period where our laws are actually being respected.
Like that makes it more
And
truthful.
it's interesting because the last speaker talked about her faith and how there needs to be sanctuary. But you know what? In the Ten Commandments, it also says, "Thou shalt not steal." And when you come over and you steal from the American people and you come here illegally, okay, and you want to throw your faith as if that's some kind of moral standard, you're wrong.
That's fine.
Illegal is illegal. And we are so grateful that you are here standing for the United States. You know, we fought many wars. One of those wars was against a tyrannical government, just like Sacramento. And just like that, we made sure that we had a constitution that gave us freedoms. And they were freedoms for the American people. And we are then a sovereign country. So either we're sovereign or we're not. Either we have a constitution or we don't. Either we have laws or we don't. And the last speaker wanted to cite that her family members were in law enforcement, then they need to also help the fight against illegals. She needs to actually have either one side or the other and not play the fence. But let me tell you, you guys are in a position right now to not only put the America's Freeze in with the federal government, but what I want to invite you to do is join Huntington Beach in the lawsuit. What Sacramento is doing is illegal and unconstitutional. And you, along with all of the other cities, we just had another one, Escondido, vote 4-1 against sanctuary. You can join in that, and we implore you to join the lawsuit and make a real strong statement. You're done. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Genevieve Peters.
Yeah.
Thanks. My name is Diana Bonnie. I've been an Aliso Viejo resident for 18 years. I'd like to thank each of you for your service. And thank you, Mayor Harrington. You're the best thing to happen to this city. I love immigrants and how our country is a melting pot. My husband's family are all immigrants. We need to fight back against Proposition 54 because of how it addresses criminals, not immigrants. Anytime we handcuff our law enforcement and take tools out of their hands, we make our communities less safe. This woman's story here broke my heart. Local law enforcement not being able to cooperate with federal law enforcement hurts the safety of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Spirited outside. Good evening, Mayor Harrington and council members. My name is Ted Fuentes. I've been a resident of Aliso Viejo for 13 years, and I love raising my 3 kids in this community. My kids' ages are daughter 16, sons are 8 and 11. I moved to South Orange County to enjoy their beauty and safety, both of which seem to be slipping away. Today I'm more concerned for the safety of my children than I was 13 years ago. I believe we can all agree the first duty of our elected officials is to ensure the public safety of the residents, especially our children. This is why I voted for several of you sitting up there today. My confidence in you remains high, and is also why I'm voting Dave Harrington for Orange County Sheriff. Having shared that, I'm requesting you opt out of SB 54 and join the opposition with our sister city residents, City Council, and Orange County Board of Supervisors. Orange County has now become ground zero for taking the state back from the lawlessness of
Yes.
from the one-party controlled Sacramento, which continues to decimate our state and put illegal immigrants before taxpayers. The key word is illegal. Am I the only one that sees the connection between AB 109, Prop 47, and 57 as it relates to the illegal immigration sanctuary state SB 54? I ask each one of you tonight, how can you expect our kids to obey the laws when our elected officials don't enforce them and then create laws that aid and abet criminals? Any of you that votes in support of SB 54 is voting against our Constitution and the rule of law. The fine people of Aliso put you in that seat, and my expectations are unanimous vote against SB 54 and join the opposition against the lawless governor and Democrat-controlled Assembly and Senate. Remember, public safety is your first priority. I want to remind each of you, you took an oath. That oath is, I do solemnly affirm and will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name's Grant Gerhardt. I've been a resident of Aliso Viejo for 15 years, and I urge you guys to join the lawsuit. It's kind of silly that we have to stand here and vote for something that's against the law, against the Constitution, and against common sense. So I would really appreciate you guys to put in the effort and join the law and resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Council members, I live in Aliso Viejo, but I show of hands, who here lives in Aliso Viejo? I was not only resident of Aliso Viejo for over 8 years, I'm also an attorney, and I've heard that SB 54 is unconstitutional. The opposite is true, it's based on a relative legal principle, the anti-commandeering doctrine. It states that Supreme Court cases dating back to 1842, and it's a China in the 10th Amendment. Justice Scalia in 1977 decision of Prince versus U.S. was a cornerstone opinion in favor of this anti-commandeering principle that relates to the 10th Amendment. He stated, Congress cannot compel the states to enact or enforce a federal regulatory program, nor command the state's officers. Such commands are fundamentally incompatible with our constitutional system of pure sovereignty. SB 54 avoids this issue. It is not contrary to federal law. It provides that law enforcement officers will not involve themselves, and that's what I request that Aliso Viejo do as well. Because either way, we're taking side on the issue, that there are arguments between the state and the federal government regarding what is legal, what is constitutional, and those two colleagues will,
She calls herself a lawyer. She's as lawless as they get.
Mayor Harrington, we were running for Orange County Sheriff. The Sheriff's Department through special programs stands to gain financially from disobeying California law. Will you recuse yourself from this vote?
Thank you. No, I won't, but thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Sean, and I live in Aliso Viejo, and I know Mike, I know Phil, Dave, I haven't got to meet you, I know Ross, actually, Bill, you gave birth to both my children. Your wife did, I apologize. So, I'm a 10th generation American. My family fought in the Civil War, fought, World War I, Korean War, World War II, Vietnam War. That's on one side. The other side, my mother is an immigrant. So I'm here to say that I want you guys to remember, give us your core colors now. And please remember to not create a situation where you start doing, well, I'm half Chinese, and my ancestry in the 1800s, they actually considered Chinese not able to vote, not citizens. And that is something that I want to remind you that we do have a history in the United States of taking away rights when they shouldn't be. conscious, and I am for SB 54. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Michael Harris. I've been a resident of Aliso Viejo for 6 years. When I came here, I had a great speech prepared. I had a very sympathetic way to the American dream. People like it. It's nice. But I got here and I saw the crowd outside.
Hold on a second. Go ahead, Papa. Do we need to remove anybody, Jim?
Yes. Lots of people commenting everywhere. It's really rude. I don't know what you're talking about, lady.
Okay, let's try to control ourselves, or we'll just clear the chamber out of everybody, and we'll just continue our meeting without you. So, I'm sorry, go ahead. You want to start over, or you want to keep going? You said you had a big speech about something, and you just don't have time.
Very emotional. It can be very convincing, but I got here and I saw the crowd. And anecdotally, I can tell you that when I got here, the partisan breakdown skewed harder left than the breakdown of this council. Anecdotally, I can tell you that I've been a resident here for 6 years, and when I woke up this morning, I didn't even know any of your names. Sorry. But forget the anecdotes, maybe I'm wrong. Congressman Warlock is here. He won re-election by 16%. And now, the typical slew of political prognosticators of political report have this district listed as a toss-up. Gentlemen, he attracted the attention of the electorate. And I came here tonight to tell you that you have my attention. And it's not just me. For every one person in the crowd, there's 100 others on social media watching all the videos that they posted tonight. It's just the tip of the social media iceberg. 2 years ago, people who couldn't be bothered to read the newspaper are going to read the Advocacy and vote in support of it. I urge you, please, vote no on item 13 and vote in support of SB 54.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jim Gilchrist, and excuse me, we got a newsflash. CNN newsflash. Governor Brown has issued an arrest warrant for the entire Aliso Viejo City Council. So that was fake news.
Wouldn't be the first.
Daniel, now you know why I'm so glad I lost that campaign for congressman back in 2005. I would never want your job. I do want to commend all 5 of you for doing a great job here in this community, which I've been a resident of for 23 years, and especially the Sheriff's Department. They've done exceptional. I have to say, a spectacular job, not only tonight, but on a daily basis. And now, the issue at hand. I'll tell you right up front, Mayor, I support you and all your council members in support of this item 13. I'll tell you why. In order to have a civilized society, you essentially need a managed society. That doesn't mean you engage in discrimination and hatred and racism and all the other things you're going to be accused of if you're supporting this bill, or this attempt to sue the state. But our founding fathers, back in 1790, in the first Congress, established basic rules for immigration. That was that we would have a prescribed number of legal immigrants. Number 1, with vocational skills necessary to continue us as a global economic power. And number 2, those people also must possess the integrity and character necessary to continue us as a civilized society. And that being said, sorry, over time, I support you passionately. And to that end, the Minuteman Project has donated $200.
My back was hurting. I'm just like standing on the side. I'll move back. Okay, thanks. That's fine. I'm moving. Don't worry.
Thank you, Jim. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Cotillion Chinta, CINC. And I'm a resident of Aliso Viejo along with my family. Let me tell you very shortly my story. I came to the United States 20 years ago legally from Romania. I stayed in line, I obeyed the laws, and I eventually became a U.S. citizen. I saw outside a few signs supporting immigrants. What kind of immigrants are they about? Illegal aliens aren't immigrants. It's an offense to millions of legal immigrants who wait lawfully in line. I was an immigrant too. I completely support the U.S. Constitution. I oppose illegal immigration, and I oppose SB 54. Therefore, I expect you, the elected officials of this city, to protect Aliso Viejo, to adhere to the rule of law, and to defend the United States of America Constitution. Please reject the unconstitutional SB 54. It's an illegal law made for illegals. Thank you. God bless us all.
All right. All right.
Hi everyone, my name is Mike Toth. Firstly, thank you to the council, to the mayor, for enduring this. I know that this is a lengthy procedure, so I do understand that. I would like to say that I'm definitely in support for joining this lawsuit. I think that the Constitution and the rule of law is the integral aspect of which our nation was founded upon. It was instilled to us by our founding fathers, and ultimately the courts will decide if this law is unconstitutional, so why not partake in that matter, and why not stand with the side of the law? I do believe that there has been a lot of discrepancies here, a lot of things, fallacious, slanderous material saying that this is an attack on immigrants or anything like that. No one here is saying that at all. I think a lot of the times the left and the Democrats like to invoke emotion in order to, make an excuse for a lack of facts of the matter. I think that all of you signed, all of you took an oath to defend the Constitution and defend the law of the land. And I think that this is an unconstitutional matter, so to join this lawsuit would be on the side of the law. I'm going to take a wild guess here. I'm going to say that Ross Chun votes no to it. I think Greg Fick will vote yes. I think Garcia will vote yes. I think Mike Munsing will vote yes. Bill Phillips will vote yes. I can't wait to see at the end of this. Are you guys voting tonight, can I ask? Okay, so we'll see what happens then. Also, the liberal mainstream media a lot of times may attack people. They might do the same thing as far as invoking emotion, discrediting, labeling their political opposition as something like racist or Nazi or anything, all of these kind of ridiculous terms. But the fact of the matter is the media executives and the people that own these mainstream media sites want to push a political agenda. And they do this by shaping public opinion, manipulating the public, lying to the public, and ultimately their allegiance is with the people that own that, the majority stakeholders. So regardless of what happens tonight, you may be ridiculed or anything like this, but the law of the land is the law of the land. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, my name is Larry Bells. I am a veteran of the Vietnam War, and I'm here tonight to read you the letter I sent to Los Alamos after the vote on the sanctuary city. I support your decision to challenge California's sanctuary city law. I support your decision as being heroic and protective of our Constitution. I support legal controlled immigration. I look upon the sanctuary law, SB 54, to be comparable to when the southern states succeeded condemnation to the United States. The move resulted in the Civil War. Any law, even a partial one like SB 54, that illegally separates and removes itself from the United States government is unconstitutional. Sanctuary law, SB 54, is illegal, unconstitutional, and detrimental to the citizens of the United States. In fact, it undermines the citizens of the United States. I, or any veteran, did not serve in the United States Armed Forces to come home and to preserve illegal immigration. We serve, protect, and preserve the Constitution of the United States of America. Why would anyone serve in the military to support illegal immigration? Nobody. I support the United States Constitution and legal immigration.
Thanks, Gary.
We are a country of legal immigration. We all are.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Why did they write it? To undermine Trump's immigration policy. That's the only reason why they wrote it. They don't care about the illegals in that respect. they wrote it just to undermine this policy. This is illegal, it's unconstitutional, and you need to opt out, please. As far as this lady who said that when you dial 911, I've dialed 911 before. They never ask for immigration status. The cops come, they don't ask for immigration status. They want to see what's going on. So it's I don't understand that. It's BS. So I please urge you to opt out. Thank you.
Could you just state your name for the record, please?
Oh yeah, it's Jesse. Yes.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm kind of long night. My name is Leslie Ziminsky. I am speaking on behalf of opposition to the amicus brief contemplated. As members of this body, we are to be a leader, to think independently. Under U.S. Supreme Court precedent, the federal government cannot commandeer state officials to do its bidding in law enforcement. This means that the federal government cannot make California law enforcement investigate or report immigration status. It also means California can decline to expend its resources to enforce federal law. Do you really want to put Orange County in the embarrassing position of joining a lawsuit on the wrong side of the law? Study after study from both the left and the right has debunked the myth that illegal immigrants commit more crimes than native-born residents. There's many articles, I have some cited here in the highly conservative Institute, and one from Political Fact. The public is, in fact, safer with more immigrants, documented or not. Just a few minutes. I'd like to cite 1 John 4:19-22. We love because he first loved us.
Absolutely. That's actually 1 John 4:19, not 22.
Brother, he is a liar. For anyone who does not love his brother, who has seen, cannot love God, whom he has not seen. And he has given us this command: whoever loves God must also love his brother. Thank you for considering my comments.
Thank you.
I vote.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Esteemed City Council members, my name is Joe Garkop, and I am the president of Make California Great Again. And also, I am the daughter of an illegal immigrant. When my father came to America in 1953, he came to marry my mother. At the time, the United States government told my father that he could not and would not be allowed to marry my mother, and he had to leave the U.S. and come back legally. Then he could get married. My father, who I had tremendous respect for, did not fight against the United States government. He did not argue.
Right.
He fully obeyed U.S. immigration law.
Right.
He left the United States, came back legally, married my mother, and eventually became a U.S. citizen. If elected officials truly care about helping the illegal immigrants, they would tell them to fully obey U.S. federal immigration law, leave America, and come back legally. Then, elected officials can let them know that they will do all that they can to help them to become successful citizens in our country. The California people do not want elected officials that break United States federal immigration law. We want elected officials that fully understand the importance of coming into agreement with our federal government. Make California Great Again is not in agreement with our California legislators who deliberately ignore the laws that have been enacted by our U.S. Congress. Please comply with the United States Constitution and reject SB 54. Thank you.
How you doing, Mayor, Council members? My name is Harim Uziel. I am with Los Angeles County for Trump, Latinos for Trump, and Make California Great Again. I want to thank you for following in the footsteps of Los Alamitos, Hermoso Beach, Escondido, and a few other cities that have voted on an anti-sanctuary measure. I want to make it clear, because you guys have been hearing that this is about compassion, whatever, but it's not about emotion, it's not about feelings, it's about, first and foremost, public safety. Public safety that you take an oath in office to protect and to execute. Another thing, this has nothing to do with immigration, legal immigration, or illegal immigration. But it has to do to follow the Constitution. We heard an attorney earlier, and I couldn't believe she's actually an attorney and saying what she was saying. We understand that the state is overreaching. It's not right, it's illegal and very unconstitutional. I heard a lady talking about, they like to throw in the Bible, John 3:16, love your neighbor or whatever. But that was after the people came into the nation of Israel and actually took upon the law of the land, which is the Torah. And that's how you love your neighbor, that's how you love the stranger. So it's, they take it out of context. Another thing is that they want to say that we need to have compassion for illegal aliens, but has nothing to do with compassion. I want to address one thing. Yeah, they were talking about that SB 54 protects those that are innocent and those that don't have a voice and the defenseless, but that's not true. SB 54 protects illegal aliens that have already committed a crime and that are already in jail. So these people are actually protecting criminals that actually are committing crimes against Americans like myself, and that's not right. I oppose SB 54, and I encourage you to pass this measure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
I'm an American Indian. I run my car. I'm not Elizabeth Warren. I'm an I also have a biracial family. I have Jewish people. I have Catholic people, Christian. I have a Methodist, everything. And I love people, all people. But I most love our citizens of our country. I enjoy visiting other countries, but they have immigration laws. We need to have those immigration laws. I oppose SB 54 for a number of reasons. Really voting for people, and California doesn't have voting laws. But also, I'm concerned about our law enforcement, our ICE agents. If they're not allowed to pick up somebody who's in custody, and then they have to go into the community where potentially that illegal immigrant has knowledge, welcome and embrace legal immigrants. It's been proven that illegal immigrants help the economy grow, even start successful small businesses. Legal immigrants are part of the lifeblood of the USA and keep it growing. But SB 54, on the contrary, is not truly about immigration as meets the eye. What SB 54 does is actually this. It provides a loophole for the cartel. If you come from Juarez or from Tijuana, you know how the cartel works. The cartel is looking very closely that this SB 54 passes. We need to pay attention to that. They, without question, have a vested interest, motivation, and the funds to try to force this illegal activity bill to pass under the people's noses. We need to be careful. We need to open our eyes. The cartel wants us to stay ignorant, so the people fall for it. But I think it's a ploy and a scam, which is what they do best in corrupt world countries like Mexico to Central America, like Guatemala and beyond. We need to be careful, jump on board to win the stance against SB 54 to protect our dignity as patriotic citizens who make America great.
Do not support SB 54. There's no rocket science to it. Logic, sense, intuition, jump on board with our President Trump. Be some badasses like he is. Don't be afraid. Stand up for our country. Do not fall for that cartel corruption that's coming from corrupt agendas. Down. Be careful. It's all hidden agendas. Thank you for hearing us out and staying up this late.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor Harrington, members of the council. Thank you. I am activist Kenny Strong. Last week, my home city of Mission Viejo voted unanimously in favor of rejecting the sanctuary state law, and I could not have been more pleased to take a part in that. People who, on the other side, do not know the difference between immigration and burglary. Immigration is when you come here legally, when you actually, as the previous speaker mentioned, come here the right way, wait in line, do all those things. People who just trespass across the border are burglarizing our country. They need to go, and we need to cooperate in making sure they do. Thank you, and please vote in favor of rejecting SB 54.
And please.
Can you hear me? Fellow council members, and thank you so much. My name is Jeff Johnson. I'm actually a resident here in Orange County. I did live part of my life here in the general Aliso, Mission Viejo area. And I'm here to talk about some misconceptions that we've been hearing tonight. First of all, we've been hearing that SB 54 is unconstitutional.
I bet you're hanging on by the thread.
I'm here to say that it is actually in contrary to the SB 1070 fight that we saw in Arizona, where Arizona police were enforcing their own immigration policy. California is simply saying that they will not participate in the cooperation and not become not become immigration officers. ICE agents can stay outside the jails and do whatever they want. California has no right to stop them. But what we're simply saying is that our tax dollars should not go towards participating in the cooperation with the Trump administration. Likewise,
They suddenly care
point
about
out that
tax dollars
there
for
have
some
been
reason.
questions about public safety and crime. We know that
I'm moving in
that
tomorrow.
have
You said that you were gonna move in.
are more likely to be safe because there's cooperation between the police and citizens. And likewise, people have been saying that illegal immigrants are more likely to commit crime. We know that DACA recipients are more likely to be law-abiding citizens. They are the backbone of our economy. They provide jobs, and they contribute to our community. So please support SB 54.
Bullshit. These guys are delusional.
Which means back to Civic, please. Somebody? Anybody? Awesome. Next speaker, please.
Citing citizens.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Christy Branham. I'm a resident of Aliso Viejo. I'm also a Christian follower of Jesus, and I'm here tonight to stand with our immigrant community and ask you not to support the resolution in front of you because it's unnecessary and I really feel that our city is better than this. My Christian faith is the lens through which I view our world, through which I make decisions, and the way I view people. Scripture is full of verses about it. Matthew 25:35, God is hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. This is the example that is set before me by Jesus to welcome the stranger, to stand those on the margins, to practice hospitality, not hostility. SB 54 protects individuals from unjust treatment. Regarding immigration status, that's it. And there's been a lot of discussion about people being dangerous, and that is not who this is to protect. You read the law, it's very clear. These are friends and they're neighbors. They're the parents of my kids' friends. They're people who work in our community. They contribute to our economy. They're not to fear. I think I'm a little shocked and heartbroken that we're having this conversation, a conversation that feels like it's ascribing judgment or value to a person's life. And I believe that every one of us is created in the image of God, regardless of where we were born. I can't go without saying that today is the 50th anniversary of the assassination
I'll
of
talk about that. I got
Martin
something to
Luther
say.
King Jr., and I'll just leave you with his words. We have to repent in this generation, not merely for the hateful words and actions of the activists, but for the appalling silence of good people. So just may Aliso be a city that's not silent, and that we choose love over fear.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Monica. I'm from and my family, since my countrymen spoke, is on the other side of this issue, but from Romania. My family came as refugees from Romania to a different Orange County than it is today. It was really heartbreaking to be there outside and also to follow different city councils. We're really a divided country. My family left oppression, persecution, a lot of hunger, poverty, very similar to the things that really refugees that are coming from Honduras, Guatemala, and people that are currently undocumented are coming from. These our immigration laws, unfortunately,
They're not refugees, they're economic migrants.
Situation as we had in the early 80s with Jimmy Carter's Family Reunification Act and other acts that have been taken down. If we're really concerned about the Constitution, I'd like you guys to think about the marijuana law. 46 states legalize marijuana. It is federally unconstitutional to sell marijuana in this country, but California holds it. So I haven't seen any activists in front of city councils to tell their city to stop selling marijuana.
You know why?
The
Because
state
marijuana
of
won't kill
California
me.
is in violation of federal law. Nobody's arguing about that. Because marijuana makes us money. Immigration is about dignity, about care, about bringing people that are marginalized, people that need support to come. That's why my family came. My uncle actually jumped the border to Austria. He was an illegal immigrant into Austria.
She's smoking.
And then he came here on asylum. And he had to petition asylum, and that's how he came. This immigration is a lot more complicated than illegal, not illegal.
Yes.
It's very nuanced, and complications of immigration is not really embraced by a lot of people here tonight. It's a complicated system, as you know. This is not something that's just black and white. Many people come here legally on a visa, they overstay their visa. Things are very complicated. Ask you to go now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Aliso. I just want to clarify first that I am the son of an immigrant. I think one of the proudest moments of my life was when my dad got his American citizenship. It's a hard thing to describe to people because I didn't do it myself, but it was certainly a great moment. However, I think what I'm about to say next won't be as popular as the first statement. And I'm going to direct this mostly to you guys, the city council, because it seems to me that the decisions have been made, and I don't know how many people from Aliso Viejo are actually in here. It seems to me that half the MAGA people here came in from Arizona or flew in. So
I was born in this state.
So
there's two people.
I just want to remind you.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, seriously. He didn't interrupt you when you spoke. Please give him the same courtesy.
He's lying.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. No, I very much respect that. I had some harsh words for you, but as you have proven to be really upholding a lot of good policies here, I've been actually very softened up. So, in any case, I still have to say though, I think this is a publicity stunt. I don't think this really is about danger to public safety. I think the facts speak for themselves. I don't think this is about constitutionality. It's so amazing how easily people stop at an attorney. I don't think that this is really about economics or many of the things that it's being made out to be. This is just a political move. I understand that you're running for sheriff. I understand that many people here support that. I personally do not. I think it's a waste of tax dollars that you're trying to, just throw this in the way. I don't think this is really an issue to the people of Aliso Viejo. And to the city council who thinks that, it's just fine to go by with this, just wait till you find the videos online. The MAGA people and the anti-sanctuary people calling college students wetbacks outside of City Hall. Thank you.
That didn't even happen.
Very much. Hey, if you can identify anybody that's being disruptive, hold on a second. Go ahead and reset. Hold on a second. For those of you people waiting, get a little bit closer to the plug so you don't lose any seconds, because there you go.
There you go.
Is you okay with that? I don't want to just scare you getting too close. It's kind of a happy medium somewhere. All right, carry on.
Hello, my name is Yuna. I am a student at Stoke University of America, and I want to thank you for having me here, and I want to thank all the Trump supporters also for exercising your First Amendment right. How really inspiring me, and thank you to come all this way. And I wish I could finish our gas, but unfortunately I can't. I have a quote that says, "Peace is not simply the absence of war. True peace exists when all people on our planet can live with a genuine sense of happiness and joy, free from more fear and anxiety caused by the threat of nuclear weapons, poverty, and discrimination." I am here because I believe that our mission as human beings is to make people happy and make ourselves happy. Make ourselves happy and make other people happy. It's on your hands to make sure that you enable citizens of Aliso Viejo to become happy, and the path of happiness is the path of citizenship. I believe that every single immigrant that's going to see Aliso Viejo is a lawful member of this community, and I don't believe that Aliso has any problem with crime. So I feel like the immigrants that live in Aliso Viejo deserve their right for citizenship. And I also like to add, I'm from Stoke University of America, and we're from university, and I'm sure we pay a lot of taxes on their university, and there's a lot of people from Stoke University of America that do not support this, and I just want to keep in mind our considerations and also the Lord's today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Oh, hold on a second. This is 2018. I don't know if this is really a good excuse. I'll let it slide right now, Eric, but. Okay, better batteries. Go ahead, you're good. Okay, next speaker, please.
It's not working. Microphone?
Can hear you. I can't hear.
No.
No. Can't hear you, Beverly. Can you turn it up?
My name is Beverly White.
No.
I'm an American citizen first, and native born California. Hold on a second. I'm also NAGA, and I know the NAGA here. None of them are from Arizona. I want to let you know that when I was driving my birthday daughter to school at 7:50 a.m., I was struck by a really good my car was pushed between two. I was down on the ground. I will never forget the sound of my daughter's forehead, please, my husband, brother, and child assured me they will never forget finding me on the ground. The man drove through 3 separate cities. Citizens chased him down, dropped him in, so that he was able to be arrested. He certainly not just arrested. Like criminals that tell him to say, this is the type of criminals we're not telling suggestions.
There's something wrong with the microphone. It's too bad we can't hear her. This lady was a victim in a car accident with an illegal alien, and there was no justice done. She was supposed to put a citizen's arrest, and she never got arrested.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
video is live.
The function of the federal government. As such, SC 54 jeopardizes members of the council. The council is not a LLC, where individual board members are sheltered from certain liability. Please remember the oath you took to protect your citizens. I ask you to make sure you protect Americans first. My wife is Chinese. She is now a citizen, and she's very proud of it, and she's contributing to the United States of America. My fellow veterans and I did not serve America so that illegals can and have received under the Obama administration benefits that others were denied, citizens were denied. Please vote no on item 13 and reject SB 54. Support America's amicus brief and others. I thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
What is? I can take you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mic isn't
Okay,
working.
the mic's working. It's just that they have to talk into it really close like this.
They didn't have to earlier. It cut out with him.
Louder.
As a long-time local family rooster over 35 years, I want to thank you for bringing forward this amicus brief. Illegal immigration, it's detrimental to society. The demographic is not legal entry to my parents to immigrate here. But we got sponsored by Jewish legal immigrants who were Holocaust survivors. And a lot of the legal immigrants, they try to blur the lines between legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. Us Maga people, we welcome legal immigrants and refugees. And, it's very dangerous when, like my parents, they came here, they lived in American Dream, bought a house, bought a brand new Cadillac, and they got slammed into they got people by a illegal alien who ran from the scene, a few of them in the car, and they found alcohol in the car. Why should them or anybody else have to work so hard for the American dream, only to get it taken away by illegals? And also, if they got caught, they would be, catch and release out of jail so quickly. Maybe 90 days, 60 days, whatever. And then they would be free. They wouldn't get deported. They would be free to move to another part of the country. Also, they'll be a danger to another family, not just mine, yours, or anybody else in here. I want to thank you guys again for bringing this forward. Illegal immigrants, it's detrimental. They've killed a lot of police officers like David Marsh in LA County, and Kate Steiny in Northern California. There's a lot more local ones. I'm not familiar with names, but I know there's a lot of them. So once again, I appreciate it, and please do the right thing. And even if they call you Nazis, white supremacists, it's all just a farce. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Adler. I'm here
It's
to
not working.
advocate
It's just not working.
the city opting out of the sanctuary cities for some of the reasons would be number one, the illegal aliens coming in. Like sometimes the police, they say, well, we're not going to go after people if they haven't done anything wrong. But if these people come in and there's no records in Mexico, El Salvador, Honduras, maybe they were serial killers, serial rapists in some of these foreign countries. So we need sanctuary people who don't know who they are. We can have serious criminal records in foreign countries. You should not wait until you do something wrong. You should be proactive. Number two, the lawyer, I think, put up some disinformation. My understanding of the 10th Amendment is that border security, immigration is federal jurisdiction. And if the federal law says, these people are illegal, it's the state's job to help enforce that, not to counteract it. Another issue is recently in the news we have a TB epidemic in Venezuela. It's being given sanctuary. Another issue is...
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Arthur Schopper. I am a proud Trump supporter. Make California great again. I am from Torrance, California, but what happens in Orange County affects everybody. Going after and ending Senate Bill 54, you've got three things working for you. You are on the right side of history. Nullification died on the field of Appomattox Courthouse in 1860. We're not going to revisit that. States don't get to choose which laws they follow. You're on the right side of morality here. I am so fed up with people misusing the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment is not a grab-all for, well, I don't like the federal policy, so we're going to ignore it. It doesn't work that way. Simple as that. 10th Amendment does not preclude federal government from dealing with immigration issues. There is no excuse or reason or recourse for the state of California to defy federal law, and in fact, nobody's talking about the private businesses that are now being put in an impossible bind. Do they comply with federal law and get dinged by Javier Becerra, or do they comply with state law and get hammered by the feds? This is outrageous. It has to be solved. Now, on top of that, I am so fed up with people misusing the name of Jesus Christ to justify open borders. He defended the state of Israel. You see prophecies where Israel would have clear borders. Israel has two walls that works. There's extreme vetting to get into heaven. So please stop using the name of Jesus to justify open borders and to tell that I have to let the whole world into my house. Last time I checked, there are going to be goats and there are going to be sheep. That sounds like a very clear border to me. Last of all, I want to give a clear history lesson to the brown supremacists. This is not stolen land. If anybody was stealing it, it's the Democrats. But we as American citizens are taking our state back. For the record, it's not working. It isn't working.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I have lived in Orange County all my life, and I've actually been directly affected by illegal immigration. Illegal being here. My son, when he was 7 months old, got mail that he owed $58,000 in child support, and also a W-2. 5 months old. It was really, really hard for me to fix that issue. Also, my daughter, she's going to a university for nursing now. There's a big group of us here that are like family, and we go to doctor meetings, and we go to certain things and listen, and they literally teach these illegal aliens how to go to college for free. And my poor daughter is working full-time, paying for her own apartment, and working her butt off, maybe 2 hours a night because of homework and working to get an education, and she can have all these loans that illegal aliens are not going to have to pay. And I don't know what to say. I have so much to say because I'm just so angry, but I'm fed up. I just want to hold you guys all accountable. You guys all take the oath from the floor to God that you would protect the Constitution. And thank you for your time. I guess I should say, I know I have one more point after every time I say I'll remember it later, but thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Lisa Anton. I am one of the half of everybody here from Arizona. Oh, I'm sorry, there's 2 of us from Arizona. So for the character who said that half of us are from Arizona, there's 2 of us. And I've lived in California for 10 years. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because California sanctuary
all
laws
day long.
do not stay in California. We have our porous, non-existent border being invaded every single day by people trying to get to your lawless state. And they come through our border to do it. And right here, and we've been in 4 city council meetings in 3 days, so we're getting kind of tired.
Very
A
tired.
couple of things first before I do that. There's a difference between an immigrant and an illegal alien. And I think that that difference needs to be noted. I'm tired of undocumented workers. I'm tired of dreamers. They are illegal aliens if they have entered this country illegally. They are not criminal illegal aliens because the second they chose to enter this border illegally, they became criminals of the United States of America. These are not their laws. These are our laws. That is not their president. That is our president.
Yeah.
They sit out there, they insult our president, they insult our country, they insult the citizens of this country, and demand free stuff and citizenship and a right to vote and free college. Enough. My granddaughters are dreamers. And my granddaughters are going to grow up in a free country. And it's not going to be invaded. I'm done. We're all done. We're tired.
I know.
This
2 minutes isn't
Fernando
enough.
Pasurto. Tomorrow morning I will be in court where his murderer, after 2 years of sitting where we've been paying for prison for 2 years, finally will see a day in court starting tomorrow. He was executed 1 week before his high school graduation. Executed by an illegal alien.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's April 10th, there might be some events. April 9th, I have to check the calendar.
Victoria, I'll let you know
And
as soon as
I
I find
came
out.
here today, and pardon me, I have no voice, but to remind you that sanctuary city policies are in fact endangering other citizens across the nation. I'm standing up for Marion Mendoza. Her son was a sergeant in Mesa, Arizona, who was killed by an illegal alien, who was given sanctuary, who was previously deported, and who traveled back to Arizona, high on methamphetamines, and drunk 3 times the legal limit, and slammed into Sergeant Mendoza and killed him. We are tired of hearing about how they don't want ICE to come in their communities and separate their families. This family will always be separated. This mother will never, ever see her child again. Please look at this picture, gentlemen. Thank you. Fernando Pasurto, also executed here in West Covina 2 years ago by an illegal criminal gang member. We say enough. We put you in office to protect American citizens. We expect you to vote on the side of Americans. We expect you to do whatever you have to do to put the American people first. Illegal aliens are not a protected class in this country. We owe them nothing. We owe Americans everything. Yes. So we demand, every American in this room and every American across the country, that California stop with the lawlessness. Okay, sanctuary cities are not a pathway to citizenship. You do not have a right to sneak your family across our border and demand anything. You need to take the handcuffs off of law enforcement, let them do their job, let them do their job and protect American citizens.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Dory Young. This is a safety issue more than it is an immigration issue. Illegal aliens and misdemeanors are released back into society. We have people without proper paperwork living here illegally. We have millions of illegal aliens living in California. Many are committing crimes in plain sight, utterly confident whether or not they are in the right or wrong. California has become a magnet for illegal aliens with all free benefits that Democrats are giving them. Kevin DeLeon's SB 54 does not protect American citizens. It protects illegal aliens who commit misdemeanors. It is your responsibility to protect the citizens of Aliso, Viejo. You are sworn to take an oath to the U.S. Constitution and the state of California. Federal law supersedes state law. And I just want to clarify that a citizen is legally recognized national of the state of Commonwealth, either a native or naturalized. And an illegal alien is defined as a foreign national who is living without authorization in a country of which they are not a citizen. Okay, so it's the American citizen and the illegal alien, two completely different things. Your moral compass will determine whether or not you want to protect citizens or illegal aliens. Do the right thing and vote for the amicus brief. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Greg McIntosh. I listened to the police chiefs both Huntington Beach and Escondido, and they both said the same thing, the same common thread. They feel handcuffed by not allowing file sharing with eyes.
Hey, hold on a second. Stop the clock there. You go ahead and lift the mic up. You don't have to bend down. There you go. There, that'll work. There you go. And then get it close there. All right. Continue. Sorry.
I still work for local police with about 800 criminal offenses, allowing for deportation.
Right.
SB 54, as it currently stands, allows for misdemeanor offenses caused for the legal to be returned back into society. Some being felonies reduced to misdemeanors. Once these criminals are released back into society, and they commit another crime or somebody turns off ICE, then ICE has to go in and try to arrest them. But all people who are harboring this ex-convict who are in the house, they could all be arrested if they are also here illegally because they're harboring a fugitive. So that kind of creates a huge mess for the people, and SB 54 is kind of a self-defeating in its own purpose what it's trying to accomplish. Also, listening to legal counsel from different cities on the topic of SB 54 is an issue about local control and overreaches of Sacramento, a layer of California law that obstructs federal law while aiding another layer of danger for police officers. Local law enforcement should be allowed to do whatever they can using tools that are at their disposal to ensure the safety of their officers and their citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Yes, my name is Judy Jones. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Maybe it should be almost good morning, but I have to thank you for your endurance. So I'm here to oppose the support of the City of Alameda and all town supervisors, and then support of this 18264 U.S. versus California. SB 54, the California Values Act, curtails local resources from engaging in deportations and creates safe spaces, including schools, health facilities, and courthouses. I feel strongly about this health facilities and so on. My primary position is just around the corner from you here at the South Coast Medical at 5 Journey. My husband also spent many weeks in the Covington Skilled Nursing in the last year of his life. These places should not be unsafe spaces for anyone, including immigrants. SB 54 also makes me safer. If I happen to be in an accident and the witness is an immigrant who may not want to come forward to be a witness in this because of the language. Some say SB 54 is in violation of federal law and the Constitution, and that's really not true, especially since the state has the authority to set its own financial priorities. Even in 2015, California was spending $65 million to detain people for ICE. I don't think that's money well spent. I find it interesting that supporters of SB 54 include groups beyond what people are saying here are the liberals, the immigration groups, so on, but there's doctors, there's charities, there's teachers, and there's a lot of these that I could mention.
Go ahead and wrap it up.
So I just would like to say that I would prefer the City Council not waste their time and money on supporting these issues, as I think we should ask.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
And I have to agree with everything that Judy Jones just said. I am opposed to an amnesty in support of the environment.
So before anything else, two
I think this whole thing of saying being against SB 54 is an issue of both sides of the issue. How do you decide how illegal immigrants is? You know, do you decide, oh, because I think they're crossing from Mexico or they're crossing somewhere, and this is how I'm going to racially profile them. This is how illegal immigrants is. So that's something that everyone needs to take into account before saying I support, you know, they're against SB 54. Another thing is the resources. We all pay taxes. I don't want my resources spent on people doing what the deliberation should be doing. The police, they have enough work already, they should be doing other things. And many things that people have said, people who live in fear will do irrational things. I do not want to be involved in an accident and my neighbor will not come forward to help me because they're scared. Somebody might say they're illegal immigrant just because of the way you go and not go into other things. So those are some of the things that I think people need to take into account before jumping into this. And having gone through the immigration system in the US, it's by the stroke of a pen that somebody can decide the future of my life, which I think that is very unfair. So whether you come in here legally or illegally, it's by the stroke of a pen of somebody who thinks, I like you today, like people stay, or I don't like you, like people stay.
Thank you. Can I just ask you what country you're from before you go?
Is that relevant?
I'm just curious. I love your accent. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I would rather not say it.
You don't have to. I was just curious. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
He was being nice. Go back.
Go ahead and get close to that mic. Don't be shy.
You can talk loud.
I've been resident since 2002. And I urge you to do not support the advocacy in terms of do not waste resources and money our town on a pointless.
Vous parlez français? Très bien.
Constitutionally, sanctuary law is legal, and that states have historically always had an opportunity and even a reason for violating the federal law that is against us, and in this case, we're motivated from the law. So I urge you to not support the advocacy and
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
One in two children have at least one immigrant parent, and almost one in three California is foreign born. That statistic is written into SB 54 and mirrors what I see in my family and what I see in my own neighborhood. If you find that hard to believe, then you're either not facing reality, or maybe you're just not getting out enough to meet your neighbors. This town attracts families because of its diversity.
I can't take this anymore. Just vote for it, damn it.
And it prides itself on that. And it's a city that stayed largely away
I've missed so
from
many.
political shenanigans, kept its image pure, avoided getting its reputation dirty through the spectacle of fake news, raucous cars,
What is it?
firing, gestures at random,
That's a shithole.
spur-of-the-moment decisions, like the ones we're unfortunately seeing in the larger political environment today. However, this vote,
I tore that sheriff's deputy a new. I think that's what he wants to talk about. It's really high maintenance now. The bald one.
They don't only target violent criminals, which is allowed on
This is getting insane. I mean,
Rather, ICE waste their cars.
we have to the next step would have to be to start going into people's homes. Okay, I'm gonna sit in your home.
Deport U.S. combat veterans outside the borders of their country that they fought for. And this is indiscriminate. It spreads fear to our children. It's bad for our country, and it's objectively criminal. Which is why California, through SB 54, limited the sheriff's cooperation to areas where it made sense, turning over the information on violent and convicted criminals, and not targeting the victims of hate crimes and others who come forward for protection. I don't think that the residents ask for and stand against, and they don't stand against anything. And I guess I'm emotional about this. I moved here from Mexico. I came legally. But I don't want to.
Time's up.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No más.
Next speaker, please.
Can't hear.
Louder.
Can't hear you.
Louder.
Go ahead and start. Go ahead. We'll restart.
My name is Nina Tabar.
You just get closer to the mic.
Más oye. Plus haut, plus haut.
Being an American is a privilege. It is not a right. We are a country of laws. My family and I came to this country legally. I believe in legal immigration. And I support our Constitution and the law of the land. I heartily oppose SB 54, and I urge you to do the same. It's not only the right thing to do, it's the Constitution. Thank you.
Are there
Thank
people
you.
outside?
Next speaker, please.
Are there people outside waiting to get in too?
Aliso Viejo for so many years, from 1989. If tomorrow or the day after tomorrow when you guys decide, we will be in the news. Maybe Fox, maybe Trump will say something nice. But what I do here is you do the job for the city. Let the ICE do the job for them. The ICE can go and do the job. The city don't have to be involved. Our money, we need it for good parties, good time, good recreation, trees, and everything. Why we don't get involved in the big politics? We don't need big politics. Money is an issue for the city. I've been in the city from before anyone was here. I am first time immigrant in this country. My family live also here. My son, and we grow in this city. We love the city. But why get involved in this big politics? That's it.
And can you, excuse me, sir, please share your name with us, please?
My name is Alejandro Cartagena.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Qué bueno.
Hello, my name is Alfredo Cartagena. I'm one of his sons. Just wanted to start saying I like being a member of the United Cities of America. But somehow that doesn't quite sound right. From the beginning of this country, the state was the bulwark of this republic. And I say republic versus democracy, as it is the government that we enjoy here. An oft anecdote attributed to Benjamin Franklin is, upon the close of the Constitutional Convention, Ben Franklin was questioned, well, Doctor, what have you got, a republic or a monarchy? The answer he gave was amazingly simple as it was powerful. A republic, if you can keep it. Many people forget this. A republic is a state in which the supreme power is held by the people and the elected representatives. And the second part of that definition is a few with a certain qualities to its members. I will get back to the second part in a second. Supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives. The bulwark of our government is the state.
You're obsessed with me. You're following me. You're following me.
Are the representatives of the state government. Those are the ones that are elected to represent.
He's following me. Yes. Very well.
I have never read a document from Jefferson, Franklin, or Adams making an argument for cities' rights. It was always a discussion of states' rights versus federal rights, not cities' rights. We always hear the argument of the Constitution and our founding fathers. The spirit of the writings was always argued as the strength of the state. Strong states which form a strong country. We disrespect the writings of the forefathers by breaking with their guidance. The second part of the Republic is what it is, a group with a certain quality between its members. As I speak here, no one knows if I'm leaving what not to. If we make the wrong decision, then I will become
Folks, I'm gonna take a... Okay, folks.
Go ahead, wrap up.
They just keep rolling in. They keep coming and coming and coming. More speakers.
Okay, thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Steve Lozano. I'm a resident of Aliso, Viejo for probably now 12 years. I have 3 girls, 5, 3, and 21 months. I think you, Mr. Mayor Harrington, also know what you need to do. You believe in law and order. That's what we need to get back to. This is not about race. This is not about skin color. This is about law. What is right and what is wrong. Illegal immigration, they're not immigrants. They broke the law. They're already breaking the law. So they should have never been here in the first place.
Yes. Deport.
I don't want to be one of those fathers or husbands that one day I get a surprise call when I'm at work.
Yeah.
I want to finish with this. Theodore Roosevelt once had a speech in 1907. Immigration his ideas of immigration being
Yeah.
being an American. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just a couple lines. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he's an American but something else isn't an American at all. We have room for one flag, the American flag. We have room for one language, the English language. And we have room but for one sole loyalty, and that is the loyalty to the American people. If we allow this to continue, what are we letting them know? That they can break the law. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
More people? Are there more people?
Hi, my name is Tim Fan. I'm the Orange County Young Democratic Advocacy Director.
He's like Harry saying he's following me. He's obsessed with me.
I've been talking to your Fest Festival a few months ago, okay? We had a long and nuanced discussion about this issue, and I hope we do that at a different time. But for now, I just want to remind you that some of the political rhetoric in the country now is telling you is awful. People are going to look at it. He said, it's sensitive.
Just asking, are there more people outside coming in? Okay, let's go. Thank God. Okay.
Because I want to remind you that sanctuary isn't just here.
I want sanctuary from this droning. I want sanctuary from all this bullshit. You know what? We shouldn't debate this. Where do you live? And I'm going to move in. Just squat on the lawn. That's what we need to do. Because it's too easy to hide in the ideas.
Regular citizens can't afford to live here either. This city's in the top, 5% of highest median cost income, property. So I just want to remind you that, Dana Rohrabacher states he believes in America first, and I believe we should focus. Leaders like him and leaders like yourselves should focus on local issues that actually address the needs of your community. And this law does not address that. This amnesty
It's like a love-hate thing. I met him in Southwest College 2 years ago at a Hillary event. I was there trolling as a Cruz supporter. And he actually respected me and respected my point of view. And I said, I support you.
Next speaker, please.
Yay. First Amendment, yeah. YouTube. I don't care. I know who he is. First Amendment. I thought I said Dana Rohrabacher. I'll explain later. I'm really angry. The microphone isn't working. He doesn't get it. I told him.
then it's entirely dismissed. Our local enforcement software is to keep keeping Viejo citizens safe. Now, the fundamental issue is that the framework of allowing local government the opportunity to choose the most effective policy. And I believe that because we're citizens of this land, and whether people from different states don't know how to do it. And that the federal government should not be dictating us and telling us how to do our job. I don't know about you, but I will admit that. You guys have more facts available than all of us, even for the citizens. And since the time I've been living here, I have never felt unsafe. If anything, I tell people from the
All right, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Ariana, and I work here. I want to speak on behalf of the families that I work with. I'm a therapist, and I work with a lot of families of mixed status. And so I want to let you know that this is going to affect a lot of children's ability to have their families together. And especially children who already struggle with and then having to put them through such a separation like that will really affect the children here of Aliso. So it is really important that this does not pass. Council members, good evening. My name is Valentina Bankhead out of Orange, California. I'm a citizen of Orange County, California. Today is a great day. You have a chance to participate with fellow cities to walk away from California's Attorney General Becerra and Governor Brown's illegal maneuver to defy our president, Mr. Trump. The DOJ and the federal laws of this sovereign nation. This nation we so proudly call our home, home to the United States citizens and legal immigrants that reside here. I was born in Santa Ana, a sanctuary city now. I've seen the destruction in the city of Santa Ana. I've seen the homelessness and illegal population multiply dramatically in Santa Ana. Why would you accept what Governor Brown is stuffing down your throats? I am here to tell you, we need to fight. We need to stand together with you and shut them down. Why would you make Aliso Viejo a sanctuary for illegal lawbreakers and possibly go into debt due to harboring people who come here from other countries without documents? That promotes disrespect for the rule of law. That is promoting a national security crisis and putting the police in harm's way. There are proper channels for these people to process through. De Leon called this bill the California Value Act. There is no value in endangering your citizens' livelihood. Aliso Viejo citizens are your priority. That should be the main focus. Why would you consider placing your law-abiding citizens' livelihoods in risk for higher crime and push aside the cater to criminals? Please vote no to SB 54 in support of the amicus brief and join Los Alamitos, Huntington Beach, San Juan Capistrano, Fountain Valley, and tonight Escondido. Yes.
Yeah.
You've got to fight for your rights. Be that horse that comes out in front, or be the domino to knock it down.
Yeah. Yeehaw. Let's do this, please.
We're going to take a quick fiver, I think.
No, vote now.
Stretch break.
Vote now. Vote now. Vote now. Please, because I want to go home.
What's going on?
Yes, I'll come. What day is it? Okay. Yes, I'll be there. And will Steve Knight be there? Steve Knight, he's the congressman, so he needs to be there. Tell him if he doesn't show up, I'll drop his ass.
I know who he is. I cannot promise his.
Okay.
I will promise you'll have a lot of people.
Oh, so much hate.
Then you'll have some credibility and humans.
Sure.
Everybody got to speak.
Please. Please, guys, we've already won this. Let's just wait for the vote, okay? Thank you.
Take it out another way.
Yeah, I'm tired of being, please.
If you're gonna argue, I need you to.
Hi.
We're gonna win, baby.
Immigrants are welcome here.
We
He's
have
an
no
immigrant.
hate. We
He's
have no
welcome
fear.
here.
Legal immigrants are
He's
welcome
an immigrant.
here.
He's
That's
welcome
right.
here.
You don't even have to say legal immigrant. You're just
Immigrant means legal.
already legal.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. We have no hate. We have no fear. Legal immigrants are welcome.
Oh, hey, there's that lady from Dana Rohrabacher's event. Hi. Hi. You tried to attack my friend John. That was bad. That's okay. I forgive you. This so makes up for it.
You guys, listen up. If you're in here, sit down. If you want to talk, go outside.
Okay.
Have a seat.
I feel like sitting down.
Have a seat, please.
I'm just sitting down now.
I've been running around like crazy. We're cool.
She put you down because you want to sit down. I don't know. I get it.
I don't even care. I stopped caring a long time ago. But you see, this is what happens, you know, it's like people, you know, this is what it's come to. I don't want to go outside because they're going to shut the door on me.
It's called Poor Loser, Sore Loser, and Loser.
Just loser.
Loser.
We...
Like the woman that didn't want to... Yes? Family America Project is uniting all pro-Trump, America First patriots.
Like me.
We unite all of the groups so that we have one funnel of information. So check us out online. It's a closed group.
Robin.
Heavily vetted.
You had, okay, so I still got to find out about Glendora.
What?
I got to find out about Glendora, San Dimas. San Dimas needs a nudge. Ryan Vienna is leading the charge, but it's like we need to really push that. Glendora, we need to support them. I don't know, they don't have the agenda up. Don't forget Los Alamitos, the 16th, and there's the Board of Supervisors. Ventura's starting to pick up. Something's happening in Ventura.
You mean the county or the city?
The county and the cities in the cities in the county.
That's surprising.
Santa Clarita is picking up, so whatever.
You know, I don't think Santa Clarita's going to do it though.
No, I just heard from her. Talk to her.
She lives in Santa Clarita?
I think so. She lives somewhere near there. She was telling me. So really quick. So I want you to tell me what's going on with Santa Clarita.
Oh, her?
Yeah, Pocahontas. Tell me about Santa Clarita.
Well, Santa Clarita, I want to bring this to Santa Clarita.
Because you live there, right?
I live nearby there, and I'm involved with California Conservative Action Group, and we're primarily based in Santa Clarita, and I had people tonight asking if you would come. So hopefully we want to make sure that we opt out.
What day is that? What day are the meetings?
Well, it's I believe it's next Tuesday.
Okay, they needed to get it on the agenda.
We have to get it on the docket first. So
Well,
I
let's
do
hurry.
know that one person is absolutely for opting out, but he's looking for support. So Joe Messina, who has a talk show,
Yeah.
he's going to be sitting down with him and letting him know that he has all of our support.
So there's also a survey on the Signal. That's the name of the paper.
I understand, but the Signal
So you got to
very
liberal. So we need to still pound it. What I'm saying is people need to opt into it, sign on to it, get involved with it.
Yes, and it is important that they opt into it and answer the question on the Signal. However, they're so biased.
And it's also indivisibles are harassing it. So
Okay, someone did.
okay. Excuse me. Good. Thanks for coming, Megan. Thanks for coming to everything. Hug.
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
Hey. So, Tim, right? Tim. Good. So everybody needs to know the story really quick. Just really quick. When I first met Tim, it was at Southwest College. And Hillary Clinton was there, and I was a Cruz supporter. We were talking about this earlier. But what the best part was, it's like everybody else booed and people pushed me, harassed me, all this stuff. But he's the only one who went up to me and said, you know, I really respect what you're doing.
I'll rephrase. I would respect that you were there.
You respect me as a dude? Sure you did.
I didn't necessarily say I agree with you, but I like that you were. Let's do this outside later.
Okay. Can I have a water? Hey. Are you the reporter?
She is.
Hi.
We're just going to register.
Oh, okay. Hi. I thought she was. Let me see. Where is the mayor?
Thank you.
Yeah, so I've been to 8 of them. And I got home last night.
People in the back, there's
2:30
empty seats, so find a seat.
in the morning.
Sit down, Tim. I'll give it to you. Sure you can.
Oh, yes. We like you.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. See, we're bringing left and right together.
We might not agree with you.
Just today. That's because we're gonna win, so it's okay.
Which bed are we fitting? Kind of miss you in Fullerton. Hoping you'd be there.
Fullerton went down.
No, you didn't know? Fullerton voted against the ordinance.
No, because we went there. Of course.
That's why I missed you.
Exactly. Good thing we weren't there.
Well, thanks for reminding us. We'll be there next time.
Oh, no. And I'll be there too.
All right, we'll bring it back to the dais.
I can't believe I've done this.
Councilmember Munson? Unlike I often do, I'll try to make it a little bit short.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate all of you coming out tonight. Your opinions are definitely taken to heart on both sides. We've also received a lot of emails, and I think where a lot of the conflating comes in when folks are trying to blur the lines between legal and illegal immigration. And for me, I certainly have stood up many times and taken the oath of office to swear to the Constitution of the United States and then the Constitution of the State of California. This has always been, for me, a law and order issue. We see what's going on in the state of California with the Proposition 47, Proposition 57. I think this is just kind of right in line. The SB 54 is right in line with that same area. That
Your Honor?
All of these,
Okay,
at least
but
in
she's
my
allowed to stand.
interpretation,
I'm not
make us
disturbing.
less safe. And that is where it makes it difficult.
That's not there at all. Okay. All right.
I just see SB 54 as really more of a defense against the criminals and those not illegal aliens. We're not saying that, but those who have been arrested on crimes are the only ones this is going to affect. So I appreciate all your input. I appreciate you coming out and speaking out. Thank you.
Councilmember Phillips. First of all, I'd like to thank the deputies for maintaining order here tonight. I really do appreciate that. I will admit this is a very emotional and complicated issue. I've been on this council for 17, 18 years. Many of my colleagues refer to me as the elder statesman, and they know that I probably should be home sleeping already. Likewise, according with Councilman Munzing, I've taken an oath, and the number one thing that I have dealt with since this community has been a city is safety and public safety. And it's very, very critical to me. To the point that we've changed even design regulations that I somewhat disagree with to make this place safer. And I just bottom line feel that this is a safety issue when it really gets down to it. I also have to tell you, I'm really, really getting tired, and I've made this comment the last 2 or 3 years, of what this state is doing to local cities. It is sinful. I will tell you that we are not dealing with city issues right now. We're dealing with sober living homes and how they're impacting neighborhoods. The city manager, I happen to know, has been with a judge for the last day on the homeless issue. We have housing issues that we continually try to abide by and the state changes the rules. We have other things like, I can't even remember the numbers anymore, there's so many of them. 109, 47, 57, I know we're gonna be talking about that again. They're all issues that are impacting us, trust me. So when I go back, I look at this, and it really does get down to me a safety issue. So what I would like to ask the city attorney and city manager, and maybe even Brent, our sergeant, is I guess let's start with the city attorney. I'm not going to become, as I told Mr. Sonoda earlier, I didn't study law, so I'm not the expert on constitutional law, nor will I ever be. The question I guess I have is, if we file for this thing going on, what is the cost, what is the ramification to us as a city?
Mayor and council, it just depends on what you mean by sign on. But because the city has been invited to add its name to an amicus brief filed by various sources, the first invitation came from the Immigration Reform Law Institute. That brief's been outlined but not finalized. There will be an opportunity presented by the city of Los Alamitos. It's writing its own front of the court brief for the DOJ case. The County of Orange also intends not only to write an amicus brief, but to try to intervene in the case. So reading those, finding those matters, and adding the city's name to them involves minimal cost. You receive all the time requests for Friends of the Court support from the League of California Cities Legal Advocacy Committee. Those are sometimes on your agenda. We present them to you, and it's just in due course to do that. To write a brief, or to augment a brief, or to intervene actually is another matter. But in that case, we would be participating as the brief writer and as the parties. And that's a much more significant expense. That would be something, were we to write the brief, that would be something that would cost in the realm of $10,000, maybe $20,000 if it's complicated. But to take an advocacy's name to one of the efforts that I've already identified is an effort that takes 10 minutes. It's a de minimis effort.
Okay, and then the other question I have is, we contract to the sheriffs, and my understanding right now is they're in a little bit of a, I don't want to say that, but they don't have clear direction on really what they can and cannot do just yet. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, that's right, Councilmember Phillips, and that concern of cross purposes and cross direction between federal and state law, I understand, will be part of the county's intervention in the case to get declaratory relief for the sheriff on how to harmonize those inconsistent directives.
Okay, so from our viewpoint, from the city's viewpoint, we contract to the sheriff for safety purposes. We do not have control over what the sheriff does because we contract to them. So it would help us out in some way if we could get this decision to be heard as fast as we could, so that the sheriff gets a direction as to what they can and cannot do.
Yes, the short answer is yes, I agree. These laws apply to law enforcement agencies. And a city without a police department has some trouble in determining how the law is applied. I think the sheriff is your contract law enforcement agency, that's clear. And in performing contract services, these questions will need to be answered for the sheriff as your contract enforcement agency. So that's a long yes, but it makes sense that certainly indirectly as a contract city,
those concerns are the city's concerns under the auspices of your contract with the sheriff. They intend to work them out with or without us, I think, because they were given that direction. And county council is undertaking that effort, but certainly there are ramifications indirectly to contract cities who are, quote, law enforcement agencies under the state laws.
Okay. And that will also help them with their line of communication to whatever agencies if they can get some regulations installed.
I think that's the point of the county's quest. Yes.
Okay. And why I want to bring that up is that's a very, very important issue, and I'm going to bring it home real fast as to we've had issues in this country recently where we have found law enforcement agencies that really haven't communicated with one another. So anything more that's conflicting with communication, I'm quite concerned with. Okay? And I think we had this discussion at length, I believe, the last council meeting or two about school safety. So it starts tying together. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say is that this public safety is very, very important for all of us. Okay, I guess, well, I'll push it back to the mayor so he can call on the next council. Again, I realize it's a very, very sensitive issue. And I'm really looking at this as I've tried through all my years as to what is the most important thing for the safety of this community. So with that, I will pass that on Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Phillips. Councilmember Sonoma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for everyone that's showed up tonight. I know this is an extremely sensitive and emotional issue for everybody, and so thank you for your participation. I'd also like to say thank you to Mayor Harrington. I thought he did an outstanding job in running this meeting. It could have gotten a little out of control, but he maintained a great sense of decorum for everybody, so thank you for your leadership on that. I'm going to approach this issue slightly differently. I know that for a lot of folks here, it's an emotional, visceral, political issue. But I'm going to take a little bit more practical, objective perspective. To me, it really seems as though the issue comes down to what I've heard about this country for the last 200 plus years, and that's about the notion of federalism versus states' rights. I was going to mention Madison versus Marbury, but I decided not to. I do feel bad for the sheriff's department to be stuck in such an awkward position of trying to determine between your state government and your federal government as to what is the appropriate and right thing to do. I feel bad that that position has put you into what we are dealing with right now. I'd also like to say that I absolutely, unequivocally support any and all individuals and local governments that have a greater sense and opportunity to communicate with one another. It's a shame to me that in some instances there might be some sort of limitation on what could and could not be shared amongst the law enforcement entities. I think that is a irrational and unfortunate development. So therefore, this is not a political issue for me, it's a practical one. I understand that the amicus brief, if I'm pronouncing it correct, is an avenue for, I guess, a city to pursue for clarification, constitutionally wise, for who has the right standing for law enforcement between the state and the federal government. I hope I've got that accurately.
Yeah, it's for a non-party to weigh in as to the ramifications of the case for that non-party.
Right. Yes. I guess what I'm saying is this. Good for the county, because it seems as though, because it's the sheriff's department, they have actual standing to file the suit. one option is to have an amicus brief for the city, and I'm not exactly sure what that entails for the city to be part of an amicus brief. Is it that we endorse the lawsuit and therefore support the content of it?
Yes, or one side of it, and either the content per se or a particular argument on a particular aspect of the case.
Okay. Is there a difference between a city filing an amicus brief on this lawsuit or another reference to some reference called an adjournment?
Let's see. Sorry, it's late. We were talking about intervention, not adjournment. So intervention is actually a new lawsuit that seeks to be joined to the existing lawsuit. So a friend of the court is an amen. An intervention is a new lawsuit entirely.
Is there a way for a city or any other entity to express their interest in trying to get a determination from the court as to what is the constitutionality between this tension between the state government and the federal government? Are we required, do we need to legally be part of that, or could we pursue independently for our clarification for our sheriff deputies outside of the actual lawsuit?
Yes, Councilmember, that can be done several ways. There could be a request for an Attorney General's opinion. That's the one that comes to mind first, that seeks direction on the lawsuit. So the most aggressive and labor-intensive way is to actually become a party to the lawsuit, seek an injunction on behalf of the city. The next least intensive way is to write or author an amicus brief. The next one is to join an amicus brief, and then there would be a request for an Attorney General's opinion. That would probably fall short of that.
I guess where I think I'm going is, I think we all agree that we would like some sort of clarification by the courts, whoever that is, on where is that standing between the state and federal government. There are options for us to pursue if we so choose to seek that clarification. What I'm a little concerned about is the adversarial nature of the county's lawsuit regarding this difference between SB 54 and what the federal law says. Is there a way in which we could entertain and seek out that clarification between the two for our sheriff deputies without being pregnant with the adversarial nature of the county's lawsuit?
The only way I can think of, there's no way to get direction from the court except to be a party to the case. So from the court, no. A request could be sent for clarification to the Attorney General, but we kind of, I think, know what the outcome of that request would be because they're already involved in it.
Right, and I believe that an Attorney General's opinion wouldn't be binding and or as clear for the deputy. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make this announcement now. I will be in favor of the amicus brief, but I'm going to vote no on the resolution because I believe that the resolution doesn't accomplish anything for the city with regards to this issue. But I do believe that we should seek out some sort of clarity by, I'm gonna call it a third-party judicial entity, however that plays out, for the determination between this tension between the state government and the federal government. That's my comment.
Thank you, Councilmember Tsunoda. Mayor Pro Tem Chan.
Thank you. To start with, I have some questions. I need some clarification, not just based on tonight's conversation, although I think I'm going to put our city attorney on the spot with a couple of my questions. But I want to start off by saying that I need to confirm something, because I learned about the plan for this discussion tonight for our April 4th meeting by reading about it in the Orange County Register, which I think is a little startling, because a comment was attributed to Dave Harrington by the Register, and what they said in their March 20th article, which I read on the 21st, was, in Aliso, Viejo, Mayor Dave Harrington and said his council plans to discuss similar action at its April 4th meeting. So I just want to verify, because I was not party to any plan or discussion or meeting, and I don't know if that's a misstatement by the Register or if I missed a meeting, but I wanted to find out from our city manager and our city attorney, this plan that's referenced in the article on Tuesday, March 20th, was that a misstatement, or was there a meeting, or was there an exchange of emails? Because I wasn't party to any of that. I learned about this from receiving some comments from the public in my email and then reading that article.
I can't speak to the article. I think that was, if I understand correctly, the Orange County Register article in which the reporter was paraphrasing a conversation between him and the mayor. I couldn't speak to it at all. I think that's more of an appropriate question for the mayor to speak about than myself. I have no knowledge of it.
So I guess my question to you,
Can you speak to that?
Mr. Doyle, was there a meeting, or I want to ask you if that was a misstatement, but because of the nature of the statement, I'm asking, was there a meeting that I somehow missed?
No, there was no meeting.
So there's been no prior discussion about this, other than on Wednesday night, the 21st, I received a notification that Mayor Harrington was calling for a special closed session meeting on March 27th. So after the article published, I know that there was a meeting which we did not achieve quorum. But my question regarding that statement that the Register attributed does not identify a meeting that I somehow missed.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. A question I have, and I'm going to direct this at the city manager, I suppose, because it is not information that's included in our staff report. There have been a number of references throughout the evening and also in some of Dave Harrington's interviews on different news outlets that this is a public safety issue, that it's a way of protecting our citizens. SB 54 is making us less safe, is a quote. And so my question is this, because I tried to find this out, what record do we have? Are there incidents that our citizens have suffered criminal activity from illegal immigrants who were apprehended and then released based on SB 54? Do we have, when I asked the sheriff, and I called into the sheriff's department and I said, is there a way of telling me, does this present an ongoing and or any indication of a public safety issue? Are we suffering this, or are our citizens suffering this? And I got two answers. One was, we don't really track crimes or criminal activity that way, so we wouldn't be tracking it. You couldn't pull a report necessarily and identify the victims of the crimes at the hand of an illegal immigrant who was released based on SB 54. And no, that doesn't sound familiar. I don't believe we've had any reports of those types of incidents. So I'm directing this now to you, Mr. Doyle. Do we have any way of knowing if this is, because it has been said so many times, this is a public safety issue and it's making us less safe? Do we have records or indication that this is an ongoing public safety issue, or it's peak, or there's an issue that we're grappling with right now?
I'm not sure I totally understand the question. If the question is do we have any information about, I think as you said earlier, that illegal immigrant criminals have victimized residents?
Yes.
I have no information on that, you know.
So how would we obtain that, especially since this would be such a strong sticking point with so many residents both within our city and those who travel the distance to come and talk to us, how would we know if this is a situation that we're grappling with in Aliso, Viejo?
I wouldn't have any way of answering that, sir.
Okay. So another question I have, because I have another quote, and this comes from an interview that our mayor took part in on Fox News. And
Mr. Chen is
the quote is, "You are
critic
telling me I
of the
cannot
mayor,
enforce
apparently.
the law." So do we have an opinion, and this goes to Mr. Smith, our city attorney. Are we of the opinion, or have we reached a conclusion that SB 54 is keeping us from enforcing the law? And that's in our relationship with the Sheriff's Department.
Councilmember, I can't answer for the sheriff, but this item is initiated tonight, and under your policy.
We would have to now request you to tell us if that's happening. And then you would respond with an answer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm asking you, so for you to tell me, there's no way to know that, if there's any foundation to that statement.
I'm not informed about it.
Okay,
I haven't
you're not
spoken.
informed about it, okay. So, when I did speak with the Sheriff's Department and asked just a few questions based on what I had seen in the news and read on paper, I asked the undersheriff, Don Barnes, I said, so what is the sheriff's policy right now? Because there was a question about the rule of the law of the land and the rule of state law versus federal law. And I asked him, what does the Sheriff's Department do? How do they view this? And I got a pretty simple answer, actually a two-part answer. The first part was, we are sworn to uphold the state law. That's what we follow, that's what we enforce. And then just a little bit of equivocation afterward, which was, personally, we may not agree with it, but we're sworn to uphold it. And I appreciated that honesty. So we know that there's a discussion taking place right now as far as the validity of SB 54, and we know that there are some questions as to whether it is appropriate or if it is effective. But right now, as it stands with the Sheriff's Department, if we, and I don't like this term because it makes it sound like this is such a simple matter, if we opt out or if we decide to vote against complying with SB 54, we would be in conflict with the Sheriff's Department's rule, which is that they uphold state law. Does that make sense to you, Mr. Smith?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what would we do in anticipation of this going to litigation and this being decided if we issue an order or we take a position that's in conflict with the agency that we contract with to enforce our laws and protect our citizens? What happens then?
Well, it depends on what you mean by taking action. If you enact a municipal code provision as Los Alamitos did, that drives a particular set of consequences, and that's not what's before you tonight. But you want me to speak to that anyway?
I guess under the circumstances that we're considering right now, I'd like to know how we accommodate our relationship with the Sheriff's Department right now. Because I think that we can all recognize that this isn't going to be decided tonight or tomorrow. The relationship with the Sheriff's Department, state law, and the litigation between federal government and the state. So how do we handle this now, understanding that we're under a certain set of circumstances and we have to have a relationship with our law enforcement agency?
The way that that relationship is described in your sheriff service contract is that the sheriff is required to indemnify the city for its actions, and the city is required to indemnify the sheriff for enforcement, for negligence that's caused by the enforcement of our municipal code. So if we put the sheriff up to something in terms of writing a citation for a municipal code provision that's invalid or unconstitutional, then we have to indemnify the sheriff for the consequences of that enforcement. But if it arises on the sheriff's side of the contract, they're required to indemnify the city. I haven't thought about this, again, 10 minutes, but I have thought about that contract and that relationship, and I think that the activities that are being discussed tonight are activities that don't have anything to do with enforcement of specific municipal code provisions, and that the sheriff is required to indemnify the city and to sort out the consequences of its operations as regarding compliance with these laws.
So for those of us without a law degree, when you say indemnify, that seems to be a legal protection. Is that a way of compelling the sheriff's department and their deputies to act in a particular manner based on our contract?
We don't get to dictate that.
We don't. So they act as they're sworn to act and uphold state law no matter what we say.
I don't know what they do in terms of reconciliation of state and federal law. I can't speak to that, and I don't know what their policies are, except for what I've heard quoted from the sheriff's office that you mentioned.
Okay. So you brought up a term that's familiar, that's been used repeatedly tonight, and you brought up constitutionality. And that brings to mind a couple of questions I have, because I have heard both sides. One side says, you're sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States, you took an oath. And then another side says, well, you swore to uphold the state constitution, state of California. So, could you give us an opinion, based on the oath that we swore, and there's a gentleman here that did read our oath for the most part that we swore, does one necessarily take precedence over the, you could actually end this discussion pretty quickly if you say, yes, you swore this oath and you are obligated to either support the federal constitution or the state constitution. So could you give us a legal opinion? When we swore that oath, which takes precedent?
You're talking about the council members?
Yes, council members.
To uphold the Constitution.
Yeah, of the United States of America and the state of California.
That's the crux of this case.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So as regarding these laws and this dispute, I am not in a position to give you an opinion on that tonight. It's a great issue, and I think that's why it's being fought out at such a high level.
So we're not deciding the constitutionality here tonight. We have to wait for that litigation to play out. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it again depends on whether under the sheriff's contract, you, the city, is an enforcement agency, or whether the sheriff is. And that's one of the issues that's not clear and that's being sorted out in this lawsuit.
Okay. So if we, as a city, take a position, what effect or impact does that have on what's already taking place between the federal government and the state?
If your position relates to participation in a lawsuit, it's completely protected. It's impossible under anti-SLAPP lawsuits to sue someone for going to court to seek redress. Okay. So that action, which is contemplated in before you tonight, is completely protected.
Okay.
I can't see.
So,
Keep your signs down, I'm going to have to ask you to leave or remove them.
you raised another issue that I have a question for. I know our staff report says that there is no fiscal impact on this item. But whether you're spending 10 minutes and doing someone else's amicus brief, or you're drafting our own brief, whether it's coming out of a retainer agreement that we have with you, or you're billing hourly, there's a cost to this. And it's just how big of a cost based on our action that we're considering. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's right.
You're not offering to do this for free, are you?
Our day-to-day services are covered by a flat fee paid by the city. Our litigation services are not.
Okay. So day-to-day services would cover the drafting of this brief and so forth?
Not drafting a brief,
Oh, no.
sending an amen to a brief that somebody else has drafted.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Oh,
so that was
brother.
The amicus name is covered, but writing the brief is not.
Okay. And then litigation, the potential for litigation to ensue after this council takes an action. There's a cost to that that you would be billing us for, is that correct?
That's right. So it depends on what effort the council were to authorize. If it's to be a party to the case, I think that's obviously intervention and litigation and what you would normally expect. If there's an amicus brief to be written, then that's an expense also. If it's to call someone who's written one and to ask to be added to the list of friends of the court, that's no expense at all.
What does that mean? I'm sorry, I don't understand that term. Friends of the court, is that
That's
something?
amicus.
Oh, okay.
That's what the Italian means.
Not Italian, Latin.
So, costs. There are costs associated with this. There's a variety of costs, and it's going to be based on the action that we take tonight. But this isn't free unless you've changed your policy and our contract.
Well, duh.
When we think about a discussion that we had in the last meeting that Councilmember Phillips brought up, it raises an issue that I had a discussion about just a few days ago, and it has to do with safety in our schools. Now, our school district, the Capistrano Unified School District, is compelled to adhere to state law as well. They also protect their students and their students' records and identities and any personal information under FERPA, which is the Federal Protection Law for students. I think Sophie University also has that protection in place. So if we take an action tonight that either, and I'm going to say it again, even though I don't like the term opt out or object to or set an ordinance, anything that conflicts with what the state is saying, then we are in conflict with the laws that our school district of 50-some-odd-thousand students follows. And since we contract with the Sheriff's Department, and part of our contract is to provide a school resource officer, an SRO, from the Orange County Sheriff's Department, now we're in a position where we're conflicting with the laws that the Sheriff's Department, our law enforcement agency, is obligated to follow and is sworn to follow. And we're also conflicting with the laws that the school district follows and the service that we provide them with from the Sheriff's Department is held in question because the school district has to decide if we're putting SROs on site with a task that's in conflict with their protection of students. So with that tangled web of contradiction and conflict in state law and federal law and as it applies to our law enforcement agency and our school district, we are relying on ourselves to come up with a decision that will protect our citizens, that will not endanger our students, and will create a relationship with the Sheriff's Department as our law enforcement entity that will keep the peace and safety in our community. So with all of that in mind, and probably a lot more that I haven't just thought of the options that you described, Mr. Smith, and the sort of hierarchy of actions that we can take, which action seems to cause the least resistance with our relationship with the law enforcement agency, the Orange County Sheriff's Department, our school district, and I would say the community as well? What action can we take with the least amount of conflict with all of those entities interacting?
Well, no action would have.
Well, yeah, okay, no action.
So that's on the table.
Oh, brother.
Participating in a court proceeding by outlining for the court how a city might be affected by a decision in the case would have no attention with any of those other participants which you identified, in my opinion. No one's affected by it. On the other end of the spectrum, if you passed a law that prohibited city staff cooperating or participating or complying with state law, that'd be a whole different matter. But none of those is no direct conflict is anticipated in any of the actions that are in my own for you.
Okay. Just briefly touching on the idea of public safety, I was given an interesting statistic as of last Monday from the Sheriff's Department. And it had to do with their activities in apprehending and turning over these criminal illegal immigrants, that category of illegal immigrants that have committed crime. In 2016, for the entire year prior to SB 54, the Orange County Sheriff's Department turned over 391 of those criminals to ICE. This year, between January and March, so just 3 months, they've turned over 168 of these criminals. So they're on track to turn over double these illegal immigrant criminals that are impacting the communities, double under SB 54. So that is an interesting statistic to me, that even under the restrictions of SB 54, the Sheriff's Department is still doing their job. They're still apprehending and turning over these criminals to ICE. I guess my question from that statistic is, in taking an action, do we run the risk of impeding that track record and that great effort that the Sheriff's Department has been achieving for these first 3 months of the year? Do we run a risk of tying up their ability to enforce the law and protect our citizens by entering into litigation? Do we complicate the lawsuit, I guess is my question. And if that's true, what step can we take that does not impede their success and their progress, jeopardize the safety that they're presenting to our citizens, and create a worse problem than we are anticipating right now?
Mayor and Council, I just don't, I don't know. I don't know what effect participating in an amicus brief would have on that trajectory, to higher turnovers to ICE or not. I think that's for you to wonder and to speculate. You could argue that throwing in on the side of the DOJ and ICE would make that increase go up faster.
And expedite the process.
Yeah, I would think that throwing in on the DOJ side would have that number increase more rapidly, but I don't want to be speculating.
Okay. Well, that seems to be a reasonable assumption, but I don't know. But again, we need to make a decision. Hopefully, this aspect of the decision is being considered by everyone who's going to vote on this, because I don't know the answer, and I think the fact that I don't know and you can't give us a legal opinion on it, no fault of your own, but this is, we're treading on new ground, at least gives us an opportunity to pause and consider the position we're taking. I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. All right, so I'll just touch on a little bit on what the Sheriff's Department's doing. They're so enamored with the SB 54 that they went ahead and put online the release dates of everybody.
Yep.
So that it could be seen, because they're being restricted by this law that is in violation of the federal law.
Yep.
There was a case in Arizona just recently, a couple years ago, where the state of Arizona decided they were going to affirmatively enforce the immigration law. And the Supreme Court told them you cannot do that. You cannot affirmatively enforce the immigration law because it's the purview of the federal government. You don't have the right to do that. That essentially was, it was a states' rights, argument by Arizona. That's the argument they made. And the federal government said, no, the supremacy clause of the United States Constitution.
That's right.
States you can't do it. What they didn't address was what happens when a state affirmatively tells somebody you cannot talk to the federal government when they're enforcing immigration laws. They didn't address that issue, and that's what this case is going to address. Can the state affirmatively tell local law enforcement, businesses, and other entities that they cannot cooperate with the federal government when they come knocking on the door. That's what this case is gonna resolve.
Right.
So this is a public safety issue. In almost 29 years of law enforcement, I've worked in immigrant communities. I love when people talk about, this issue for me is not about immigration. It's not. It's simply a public safety issue.
That's right.
Absolutely, foremost and completely for me. It's almost no other issue for me. It's a public safety issue. We've had AB 109 and prison realignment. We've had Proposition 47 passed, Proposition 57. Those all made us less safe. This makes us less safe. We're going to take up, right after this, we're going to take up the Keeping California Safe Act. And that's going to, hopefully turn back, maybe bring some common sense into our laws. That's it for me. That's what I'm looking to do. I'm not looking to do anything else. When we talk about, people, you're politically grandstanding, you're just trying to get, that's fantastic. But where were you when I was creating standing committees with APCA and CAPO? I went to CAPO and I said, you know what? We need to start, having active shooter training in our schools. That was my only issue when we first started those meetings. Where were you? Where was the hue and cry to protect our kids? I didn't hear you. When the city manager and our chief of police came to me and said, hey, we want to get 2 rifles for our deputies, patrol rifles. Scary looking assault rifles. Patrol rifles is all they are, assault rifles. They got scary parts on them. I said, why just 2? Let's get them for all of our deputies. And they said, I don't know how you're going to do that. I said, when it comes up, I'll just bring it up to the council and we'll vote on it. And we did, and we budgeted for that. I'm hiding in plain sight. I don't do things for political expediency. I didn't call Los Alamitos and say, hey, pass an ordinance and opt out of SB 54. I didn't do that. They did that on their own. And I was inspired by that. I was called by the Register. I do not control what the Register writes in their articles. I told them, I'm going to put this on our agenda for August 4th. You should try it. It's not that hard to do. You have to do some work. You write an agenda item. You get it on time. Let me ask the city attorney a question. Ask the form and function. Does this agenda item meet our policies and the rules under what we're supposed to do for an agenda item?
Yeah, it does. Every city's different, but this one is consistent with the policy this city has.
So it's consistent. So I put this item on the agenda. Now, the special meeting was not for this. The special meeting was when the Board of Supervisors decided to stick 3 homeless shelters, tent cities basically, in Irvine, Huntington Beach, and Laguna Niguel. The special meeting was to do an amicus brief in support of those 3 cities. That's what it was for. As Los Alamitos did their thing, it kind of came, to me that maybe we could do something at the same time. But we didn't do it. We didn't have a quorum, so we didn't do anything. So I just did the work. I put it on the agenda. That's what you do when you want stuff done. I don't do things for political grandstanding. I can't help it. I didn't call Fox News. They called me.
There you
they
go.
Said, we want to talk to you. What am I supposed to say? No. It's been fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. And they asked me, why are you doing it? Because in my heart, I believe the 50,000 residents of this city are my responsibility.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with me or not, that's how I feel. I am not only a resident of Aliso Viejo. I don't just live in Aliso Viejo. I'm a resident of the state of California.
Yeah.
I go all over the state of California. I'm a resident of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Period. To me, it's almost inarguable. Yeah. It's not about immigration. You want to talk about immigration? I went to Ethiopia and got 2 immigrants and brought them here. You want to talk about diversity? Come to my house.
Yeah.
I got 3 black kids in my house. And let me tell you something. You want to listen to some really lousy music? Have those kids in your house. That's just a personal opinion. I'm sure it's fine music to some people. But I love those kids like crazy. And they're the reason I do what I do. And it's amazing the tapestry that's in my house. When their friends come over, I get the full gamut. Everything you can think of. All them kids come to my house to swim in my pool, and it's all different types. And people come in here and talk about, immigration and diversity, and they go back to their lily white houses and their guarded communities.
They're standing,
schools
so.
and their marble walls
Okay.
and their single point of access.
Okay, that's fine.
And their guards.
That's all you had to tell me.
And they talk to me about the immigrant community. I work there. I've taken reports from people who are beaten by their husbands who are in this country illegally. And yeah, there's fear. You know what? That's my job to make sure I assuage that fear and get rid of it. And that's what the men and women who work on the street. No one's asking them to help ICE do anything. We're asking simply to allow them to communicate with them like they did before. And that's it. That's what this lawsuit's about for me. Period. It's not about immigration. It's not about anything else. I am all about if you are a criminal, and I'll tell you what, if you're a criminal, I don't want you out on the street, period. I don't care where you're from.
Thank you.
From America or anywhere else.
Yes.
But if you have an opportunity to take a criminal off the street and not put them back on the street, I'm sorry, it doesn't make any sense to me at all to not do that. And that's what it is for me, period. End of
Absolutely.
story. I'm not talking about anything else. The fear, as far as I'm concerned, is created by the other side who makes them afraid. Because they count it in a way that's not
And then
true.
attacks our megaphones.
For me, if you're a criminal, you're a convicted criminal, and you're in this country illegally, at the bare minimum, our law enforcement agencies should be allowed to contact ICE and go, hey, this guy's about to get out. They don't come get everybody. Oftentimes they go, yeah, give them a court date, here's a court date, they get a court date, they get an ankle bracelet or whatever they're doing now, and they get back out. If the sheriff's department was so in tune with SB 54, then why are they posting the release dates? Because they're not being allowed to do their job. Not everybody is a violent criminal. Not everybody, is going to get the screening. They're not going to fall into those guidelines that they, negotiated. So I don't want to belabor the point too much. I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not tired tonight. I'm good to go. I can go another 4 hours.
Oh, please, no, it's okay.
You guys came to talk. So this is, I had,
I'm
here's my
hungry.
dinner. Here's the mince from Phil. I really appreciate it.
Can I have one?
Low-calorie dinner. So that's what it is for me. Putting stuff on the agenda is what I've done for the last 3+ years. When Measure M failed, the almost $1 billion school bond failed in this city, I became aware of a facilities project at the high school that was short money and needed to get fixed. I created the agenda item and put it on there for $40,000. I wasn't running for office when I did that. I didn't even toot my own horn. As a matter of fact, if you look at the articles I write about the accomplishments of this council, I never take credit. I always give credit to my colleagues because I'm just one vote. I always give credit. I don't take it. I'm only telling you this now because I'm tired of people mischaracterizing what my motivations are. And it's okay, I get it. Look, I'm cynical too. I don't like politicians either. Politics are too important to leave to politicians. I'm with you on that. So I share in your cynicism a lot of ways. So I'm just trying to let you know that I'm defending myself a little bit. But that's what you do when you're up here. It's all well and good to get elected to this position, but if you're just going to come up here and sit up here and look at you guys and go to count and go to other meetings at other, organizations, that's not what our job is. Not in my opinion. When I moved to have a Christmas tree put in our town center, I got a concurrence from my colleagues. That's how it works. Well, I'm doing stuff. I've been doing stuff for the 3.5 years I've been on here. So it's important to me. So with that,
let's go.
I will entertain a motion.
Yes.
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 All right.
Have that second.
Mr. Mayor, I have the honor to follow up and move item number 13 as so well written by yourself.
Yeah.
So just before we go,
Or we could bifurcate.
so Phil wants to bifurcate, so I'm actually okay with that because I don't mind talking about the resolution.
You wrote it, so
maybe first we should decide if we want to do an amicus or do the amicus joiner without an actual brief. I think that's the better way to go. We'll join the Attorney General. We'll join the United States Attorney General. We'll join the County of Orange.
Yes.
Board of Supervisors.
All right.
And Huntington Beach, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Oh
my God, that's huge.
Lots out if they're gonna do something as a amicus joined or not a brief, so we won't intervene, and take on those costs. Let me really quickly, really quick, because this does bring up a question really fast. So, Mr. City Attorney, we pay you daily regardless, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's a resource. It's not smile. He could smile when he said that. It's not an additional expense. It's just the expense we normally make.
This would be, yes.
Correct.
Watching
Okay.
these other groups and then joining the city to them along the parameters you identified would be covered in.
One more time, you're out.
Okay. Get her out of here.
80 residents are not these people who are cheering.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Get her out of here.
Let's try to calm down. We've had a discourse. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and try to remove that mic, if you would. I'm going to recommend if you're going to move it with the joiner, not with an actual brief of intervention. I will concur that.
Can I ask a question of the city attorney, just to get further answering this question?
Mayor Pro Tem Chung, go ahead.
What
Quiet,
was
please.
What was the first thing you said in response? Because I couldn't hear what you
Oh,
said.
I was saying that the way I understand the motion.
No, about your, being paid, no matter,
The city pays us a flat fee every month, regardless of the hours we work.
Okay.
Be that month high or low, it's the same amount.
Okay. So if we consume your hours out of your retainer on one issue and then another issue comes up, then that's billed at an hourly rate?
No, it's
No.
all covered.
So there's unlimited hours for that flat
This
fee?
month, for the reasons discussed, yes, homelessness, other things that have come along, there's no cap on our hours. We just keep working.
Do you keep
the
working?
same amount.
Well, good, because we got 4 more hours. So then the only time that we would incur additional costs would be what you said about litigation.
Right.
Okay, so litigation. And then, because I'm asking this question about the litigation cost, because litigation has been threatened in so many cities, where does that money come from? This is for the city manager then. Where does that money come from if we go beyond our budget?
Out of your mom.
I may not necessarily understand the question, but the city.
If we didn't budget for litigation and we get ourselves into a lawsuit over this, where does that money come from? Okay,
A lawsuit over doing the amicus briefs or?
Over this topic.
Yeah, so I don't think there's an issue of federal litigation regardless of the amicus briefs. But in general, the question would be for whatever the item, whether it's legal expenses or anything else, if we exceed the budget, we would typically come back to this body, either through mid-year budget adjustment or depending on the situation, and ask for additional funds to be allocated from general fund reserve.
Okay, for general fund reserve.
Or perhaps taken from a different account that might have money in it that's left, maybe for a project or something else of that nature that could be redirected here. I think that's just in a general sense.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, we're gonna try this again, folks.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna bifurcate agenda item number 13. We're gonna be separating out the recommendations of joining the amicus brief, the existing cities and the county and all parties who are representing. And then we will bifurcate that into a separate vote. I also move the resolution therein on item number 13 prepared by the mayor. So we can separate that into 2 votes ideally, and is that clear enough, Mr. Mayor?
Clear as mud, Mike, clear as mud.
That's how I feel right now. Please, let's just get it over with.
To bifurcate item number 13, and I am moving both parts, both the joining as an amicus brief with the existing cities and entities that are, and the state and the federal government that are, moving forward on this, and then separately moving forward the resolution. Oh, well, we haven't called the vote yet. And second.
So you clear as mud there, Tom? You good?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
the motion is
first
to
motion
move
is
the
for
item.
the part 1. Mr. Mayor, go for it. The amicus brief, joining the amicus brief of the
is
state,
the first, is the first.
federal government and the local cities. As we close out this.
So make sure you.
I moved part one.
Just making sure Phil's got it. Do I have a second? I'll second it. I have a first and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. This is just for the amicus portion of, or the amicus portion of the vote. So we'll do a roll call vote. Go ahead, Nancy.
Councilmember Murphy?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Aye.
Councilmember Sonata?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chun?
Nay.
Mayor Harrington?
Yes.
Yeah! Yeah! All right! Yeah!
So the second part of the motion is for the resolution, basically just in the support of the rule of law.
Thank God.
So that motion I will make as well. So does Bill's second cover that? Mr. City Attorney, does he need to second it again?
Yes. It covers it.
Oh, covers it. Okay, we'll have a separate vote on the resolution.
So may I ask a question then?
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Go ahead. Mayor Pro Tem Chun.
So we're voting on supporting the resolution and the rule of law in advance of knowing whether the state law supersedes the federal law?
Absolutely. The resolution states that we will abide by the rule of law. If the Supreme Court comes back and says, nice try, California law is good to go,